Well, when it comes to the stimulus negotiations, those are still at a complete standstill, but the president over the weekend decided to move unilaterally on a couple of different actions to extend relief, economic relief to Americans that have been hard hit by the pandemic. So first and foremost, this has been something that a lot of people have been talking about, that extension of unemployment benefits at $600 number. That number is now $400. He has also decided to extend the moratorium on evictions, as well as suspending payroll taxes and suspending those student loan payments for the rest of the year. But we have heard from Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin. He essentially said that he was willing to get back to the negotiating table with Democrats. And in the coronavirus front, the case count is now over 5 million. And there's been a new troubling study that we will be chatting a little bit later in the show, that some 100,000 students have actually now been found to be positive for coronavirus. States in the South and the West of the country have accounted for 70% of those infections in the report. This, of course, makes a lot of sense. We've been chatting a lot on this show about how we've seen new spikes and new surges in the South and in the West of the country. And this is something that we haven't chatted about in a long time, but Hispanic and Black students are being disproportionately impacted by those new case counts of coronavirus, at least in students. 40% of the students that were found to be positive for coronavirus were Hispanic or Latino, 33% are Black, while just 13% were white. Well, looking in on those stimulus negotiations, as I mentioned, they have stalled as the president signed those 4 executive actions over the weekend to provide relief. But it's caused a lot of confusion. Some people aren't even sure if it is legally, if it's legal or if it's even constitutional. So to break all of this down for us, we're joined now by Yahoo Finance's Jessica Smith. Hey, Jess.
Hey, Kristin. Yeah, let's go over these 4 actions that the president took over the weekend. You mentioned one of them being jobless aid. He did say that he wants to use existing funding to offer an extra $400 a week for people who are unemployed, but he wants states to cover 25% of that. And that is raising a lot of concerns over whether or not states actually have the money or the infrastructure to make that happen. So we'll see what comes of this, but people are warning of a lot of problems who are with that proposal. Also, when it comes to evictions, the president did not extend the eviction moratorium that expired at the end of July, but he directed agencies to look and see if there was funds available to help renters and homeowners. And he directed HUD to look at avoiding evictions and foreclosures. So there's still a lot of questions about how that will actually play out, but he did not actually go ahead and extend that moratorium through the end of the year. He did extend the relief in the CARES Act for student loans. He extended that deferral of payments at a 0% interest rates through the end of the year. And then we have the payroll tax holiday, deferring payroll taxes for people who make less than $104,000 a year, again, through the end of the year. But that could mean that people do have kind of a looming tax bill at the beginning of next year if there is not legislation to forgive that. Democratic lawmakers are calling these proposals weak and unworkable. They've said they're open to restarting talks, but it doesn't look like that's happening at this point. Negotiations have really stalled since the end of last week. So we'll be watching over the next couple days if they're able to get going again and find any kind of common ground.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Jess. I know that you'll be keeping an eye on that. We'll have to see if Congress is actually able to make a deal and some of those legality questions over the president moves go away.